The tumor was the size of a golf ball, pressing against my optic nerve. Benign, thank God, but growing. Without surgery, I'd be blind within 6 months. With surgery, performed by one of the few specialists in the country who could navigate such a delicate area, I'd keep my sight. I'd waited 8 months for this surgery date. Dr. Patel only operated on Thursdays, only took cases like mine once a month, and the waitlist was backed up for years. But there'd been a cancellation, a miracle, the scheduling nurse had called it, and I'd scraped together the $15,000 insurance wouldn't cover by selling my car, emptying my savings, and borrowing from my parents with a promise to pay them back within the year. Just think, I told my reflection that morning, practicing keeping my left eye open despite the constant headache. Tomorrow, this will all be over. Then my phone rang. Hey kiddo. Dad's voice was casual, like he was calling about dinner plans. Small change of plans with the surgery money. My hand froze on my coffee mug. What do you mean? Your brother's been under a lot of stress at work. You know how hard he pushes himself. Some of his buddies are doing a Vegas trip. Real high-end thing, VIP tables shows the works. He needs this, Sasha. My surgery is in 18 hours, I said slowly, certain I was misunderstanding. Right about that. We had to move the funds. Jake's trip is this weekend, and those packages require full payment up front. The mug slipped from my hand, shattering on the kitchen floor. Coffee spread like a bloodstain. You took my surgery money for Jake's Vegas trip? Don't be dramatic. You can reschedule. I waited 8 months. If I don't show up tomorrow, I go back to the end of the line. I could be blind by then. You're always so negative. Mom's voice chimed in. They'd put me on speaker. Maybe try manifesting better health instead of always expecting the worst. I have a tumor. My voice cracked. A literal tumor growing in my head. And Jake has a high-pressure job, Dad countered. He works 60-hour weeks at that firm. When's the last time he had a vacation? I wanted to scream that Jake's high-pressure job was at Dad's best friend's firm, that his 60-hour weeks included 3-hour lunches and golf afternoons, that his last vacation was 2 months ago, Cabo, also parent-funded. Instead, I said quietly, I'll be blind. Stop being selfish, Mom snapped. Not everything is about you, Sasha. Your brother deserves some fun. You're always sick anyway. What's a few more months? Always sick anyway. Like my body had chosen to grow a tumor to inconvenience them. Like the chronic pain was a personality trait I'd adopted for attention. I need that surgery, I whispered. And Jake needs this trip. He already told his friends. We can't let him down now. But you can let me down? Your daughter who might lose her sight. Dad's voice hardened. We've given you plenty over the years. All those doctor appointments, medications, special diets. Jake never asks for anything. Jake never asks because you hand him everything before he can. I thought but didn't say. Please, I begged, hating myself for it. Please, I'll pay you back double. Triple. Just please. Decisions made, Dad cut me off. Man up, Sasha. A few months won't kill you. They hung up. I sat on my kitchen floor, surrounded by broken ceramic and cooling coffee, and called Dr. Patel's office with shaking hands. I need to cancel tomorrow's surgery, I whispered to the receptionist. Ms. Morrison, are you sure? You're aware the next available slot isn't until next year. I know. And the deposit is non-refundable. I know. May I ask why you're canceling? Is there a medical issue? I almost laughed. Financial issue. My parents stole the money. There was a long pause. I'm so sorry. Let me speak with Dr. Patel. Maybe we can work out a payment plan. No. Something cold and hard crystallized in my chest. No, I'll figure it out myself. I hung up and stared at the coffee stain on my floor. It looked like a Rorschach test. What do you see? A family that sees you as disposable? Parents who'd rather you go blind than disappoint their golden child? Or maybe, just maybe, an opportunity. They had no idea what was coming next. I spent the next 3 days in bed, not from depression, but from the migraine that felt like my tumor's temper tantrum. But pain had been my companion for so long, I'd learned to think through it, plan through it, act through it. First, I called my cousin Emma, the family genealogist who'd spent years researching our history. Random question. Grandma Morrison's trust, the one that funds Mom and Dad's retirement accounts. Are there any conditions on it? Oh, tons, she laughed. Grandma was very specific. Why? Just curious. Can you send me the documents? While I waited, I made other calls. To the financial advisor who'd helped me set up my own retirement fund. to a lawyer friend from college, to my boss at the nonprofit where I worked, despite my family's constant comments about getting a real job. The trust documents were illuminating. Grandma Morrison, who'd built her fortune in real estate when women weren't supposed to understand property, had been nobody's fool. The trust paid out generous monthly amounts to her children, but with clear conditions, moral turpitude clauses, requirements about family care and harmony, and, most interestingly, provisions that any child who showed gross favoritism detrimental to sibling welfare would forfeit their share. Gross favoritism detrimental to sibling welfare. I read it again, then laughed until I cried. Jake posted his Vegas pictures all over social media that weekend. Bottle service tables, helicopter rides, shows I recognized as costing thousands per ticket. Living my best life thanks to the best parents ever, he captioned one photo. I screenshot everything. Monday morning, despite vision blurry from pain, I sat down at my computer and began documenting. Every medical bill they'd refused to help with while funding Jake's toys. Every surgery or treatment delayed because Jake needed something. 28 years of receipts, literal and metaphorical. But the masterpiece was an email I'd saved from 3 years ago. Mom had accidentally sent it to me instead of her sister. Sasha's getting too expensive with all her health issues. Thank God Jake's healthy. At least we can enjoy spending on him without feeling like we're throwing money into a medical pit. A medical pit. Their sick daughter was a medical pit. I compiled everything into a neat package and sent it to the trustee of Grandma Morrison's estate, a law firm in Boston that had no patience for family drama but great respect for contract law. Then I made my second move. See, Jake's high-pressure job had some interesting irregularities, like how his expense reports always seemed padded, how his client entertainment receipts included charges from establishments that were definitely not restaurants, how he'd been bragging to his Vegas buddies in videos he'd posted publicly about his creative accounting. His firm had an anonymous ethics hotline. My third move was simpler but somehow more satisfying. I changed my emergency contact at work from my parents to my friend Layla. Updated my beneficiaries. Removed them from my social media. Small things, but final. The fallout began within 2 weeks. First came the call from Mom, hysterical. What did you do? The trust lawyers are saying we might lose our distributions. I documented the truth, I said calmly. Isn't that what you always taught me? Honesty is the best policy. You vindictive little. This is about the surgery money, isn't it? God, Sasha, grow up. Hard to grow up when you might not live to see it, I replied. Vision loss can cause fatal accidents. But hey, at least Jake had fun in Vegas. Dad called next, raging. You reported Jake? Your own brother? He could lose his job. He stole from his employer. I just suggested they look into it. He made a few mistakes. Like you made a mistake giving him my surgery money? That's different. You're right. His was theft. Yours was just cruelty. Jake's termination came the following Monday. The firm discovered he'd embezzled nearly $50,000 over 2 years. Criminal charges were being considered. But the real blow came from Boston. The trust lawyers, after reviewing my documentation, agreed that my parents had violated multiple provisions. Their distributions would be suspended pending a full review and potentially redirected to the injured party. Me. You destroyed us, Mom sobbed over the phone. We're going to lose the house. Your father's having chest pains from the stress. Jake can't find work with a fraud investigation on his record. Are you happy now? Happy. I thought about it, hand absently touching the spot where my tumor sent constant shooting pains. No, I'm not happy. I'm going blind because you chose Jake's vacation over my sight. There's nothing happy about any of this. Then why? She wailed. Why ruin everything? Because you already ruined everything. I just made sure everyone else could see it too. The money from the trust came through 4 months later. More than enough for my surgery, though my spot with Dr. Patel was gone. I found another specialist, not quite as skilled but available sooner. The surgery was partially successful. I kept most of my vision, though my left eye would always be weak. Jake moved back in with our parents, spending his days raging about the injustice of consequences. The house they'd almost lost became his prison. My parents trapped with the golden child they'd sacrificed everything for, who now spent his days drinking and blaming everyone else for his failures. I used part of the trust money to put a down payment on a small condo. The rest went into a medical fund for me and for others. I started a small foundation for people whose families wouldn't or couldn't help with critical medical expenses. We've helped 12 people so far get surgeries they desperately needed. Dr. Patel reached out last month. He'd heard about my foundation and wanted to offer his services pro bono for one patient a year. I remember you, he said kindly. The young woman whose parents stole her surgery money. I've always wondered what happened. I survived, I told him, with most of my vision intact. Sometimes, he said, losing a little sight helps us see more clearly. I thought about that as I hung up. My left eye would never be perfect. I'd have headaches for the rest of my life. But I could see well enough to watch karma unfold, to witness Jake's golden boy status tarnish beyond repair, to observe my parents realizing too late which child had actually been worth investing in. They'd been right about one thing: Jake did deserve a vacation. He got a permanent one from employment, from trust funds, from any future that didn't depend on the parents he'd helped bankrupt. And me? The sick daughter, the medical pit, the selfish one who couldn't wait a few months? I could see just fine. Maybe not perfectly, but well enough to navigate a world without them in it. Well enough to help others who'd been failed by family. Well enough to build something beautiful from the ashes of their cruelty. He works hard, they'd said. He deserves fun. Turns out I worked harder. Through pain, through betrayal, through the growing darkness they'd chosen for me. And what I deserved. It wasn't fun. It was justice. They had no idea what was coming next, but now they knew. When you gamble with someone's sight, don't be surprised when they see right through you.